Today is the last day of the 30-day challenge in November. It was an intense day. It was the most difficult day in the sense that I worked so hard on this project. I worked from this morning super early and now it's like 5 p.m. I worked like crazy. It might not have looked like it on the time lapse because it's magical and time flies and it just flows. But in reality, I worked for hours on every little details. But the good news is that I'm so happy with the results. Let me show you. I went for some kind of orchid plant. It's not quite an orchid, but it's orchid-like, I would say. As you see, the petals here are all weird and crinkly, and that is because I used some dried acrylic paint. So yesterday I put some paint on my palette and I knew that I could, once dry, scrape it off and peel it off. I did that with the magenta and I did it with white, so I had a sheet of both. I ripped some pieces here and I made a bunch of petals and I went back with paint to add different shades to it. Yesterday I was telling you that I wasn't too sure about the color of the table. I went with ochre. I'm still not too sure about it. I tried different options and I wasn't sure which way to go. I feel like a more muted color might be better. I do like that I added those pieces of the paper and I really like the background. Maybe black, a black table. I'm still not sure about it, so I might have to revisit this at some point and see if I like it like that or if I want to change it. Overall, I really love the background. I like the composition. The only thing I'm not sure about is this table here. This is the second one. I think I love pretty much everything about it. I took a long time to paint the leaves with acrylic paint and I took a long time to shape all the different flowers with torn papers. I like the different shapes that I was able to get. I love that it's part of a poetry book. I think it's very interesting. I was able to get a nice daisy here, a rose here. This might be a rose as well. This might be an iris maybe, I don't know. I just tried different things, a tulip. There's a softness to this one that I really love. The one thing I wasn't sure about was whether to add some acrylic paint in the buds, like in the middle of the flowers, to put some pops of colors, so like white and yellow. I've tried to put some cling film. Well, let me show you. That's a trick that I do sometimes on paintings. If I'm not sure about a specific color, I put a piece of cling film on top and I try the color to see if it would work. I could have done this with Photoshop, taken a photo of my image, went in Photoshop and tried different things, but in the heat of the moment, my paints are there. I don't want them to dry up on the palette. I just went super fast and did that. So if I line everything up, it would look something like this. And sorry about the reflection of the plastic, but you see, I'm debating whether to add little bits of colors like this, or if the softness of just the paper is nicer. I'm really unsure. I think it's a good trick and it's a fast trick. So I'm going to keep that cling film and let it dry so that in a few days I'll be able to do some different testing and see if I want it with pops of color like this. Now it's hard for you to see maybe because of the reflection of the light. So with pops of color like this, or without like this. These two pieces were intended to kind of go together, but now that I'm looking at them, they don't really go together. I feel like they're really standalone. My concept initially was to use the poetry book, rip some paper and do a hybrid of collage and painting, which I did. On the first painting, I wanted the background to be the poems. And on the second painting, I wanted the subject, so the flower vase, as well as the flowers, to be the poems, and the background to be the paint, and the flowers to be the paint on this one. So it's like a mirror image. So that was my initial idea, and I thought that flowers were fitting for poetry. In my execution, though, I feel like those two paintings are very, very different. Maybe the composition should have been kept closer together, and the color palette as well. I feel like if I had done this kind of stripe of black here instead of a real square table, it might have gotten closer to this. But as it is, I don't feel like they necessarily go together. And when I say they don't go together, I mean I wouldn't necessarily put them together on a wall as a complete work of art. It's kind of like, I feel like they're both standalone. But overall, I'm really, really happy with the results. It's like maybe not 100% done because there's a few questions in both paintings, but I feel like they're 90% done, which is pretty good. It was a very ambitious project, I feel like, especially for the last day, but I did it. I'm really happy. If I look at my wall, I went through so much experimentation, learning, and I feel like I found good new avenues to explore. All the yellow, gray, and white was a study because I want to do a specific series of painting involving this color palette, but that series is not going to be abstract, it's going to be figurative. More on that later. In the course of studying this palette, I discovered Inukshuk's stacking some rocks, which I really, really, really loved. That brought me to watercolor, which I kind of discovered and I totally fell in love with this month. I will keep on using watercolor. I will keep experimenting with them. They're just so beautiful, and I feel like the most interesting part for me is to keep things very expressive, like these things. That's what I really love about watercolor. Kind of like the randomness of the puddles and the flow that you get. I discovered a new abstract possible series with the big sphere here at the top. I made quite a few of those, which is a really great discovery for me. It's very interesting and intriguing. I want to explore that more. I did a couple collages, musical themed, and today the flowers. Overall, I think it was an amazing month, full of discoveries and full of learning. Honestly, I'm gonna have to take a bunch of notes to remember where to go, what to explore, because at this point, there's so many things that I can explore. I feel like I have endless possibilities of ideas and paintings to come. So that's a really good thing. And if ever you feel like you're not sure what to paint or what to draw, you feel like you lack inspiration, giving yourself a challenge like that will really boost your creativity and inspiration. You'd think that it would be the opposite. As you make a bunch of things, you kind of run out of ideas, but I feel like it doesn't work like that. It feels more like it's a muscle, and the more you flex it, the stronger it gets, and like more ideas pop, which is amazing. I hope watching me do all this gave you a little bit of inspiration. I really was very inspired by you all. The comments, the discussions that we had was very interesting to me. I'll be back soon. I'm gonna take a few days off right now, but I'll be posting the regular videos, oil pastels, art supply reviews. I'll keep posting art vlogs. You'll see me very soon in just a few days. Whatever you're doing, take good care of yourself. I'm sending you good inspirational vibes. And in the comments, if you want to let me know your thoughts on the new collage paintings, what you would do with them to finish them. Are they great the way they are? Do you have one a favorite over the other? What color would you put that darn table that I don't know what color to use? Let me know. We'll chat in the comments. And I'll see you super soon. Bye.